Greetings, my minions and mininettes. Welcome back to the show about your favorite genre. This is Absolute Horror.
I'm a pretty girl.
Good evening, and welcome to our nightmare. I'm Chris Dead, your host from the shadows. Tonight's show features Johnny Halo, Jamie Britt, and our director stars as well. But first, we say hello to Jesse Sweet with The Dark Side of Television.
Thank you, Mr. Dead. Picture this. You wake up from a coma. Everywhere you turn, there's death, destruction, and zombies. What would you do? Find out next on The Dark Side of Television. When I decided to watch The Walking Dead and review it, I had mixed feelings, mainly because of all the negative hype I've heard recently about Season 2. Well, I haven't watched Season 2, so let's set that aside and take a look at the first season of The Walking Dead. This show answers the question of, what would you do? For a group of survivors after the apocalypse and now face walkers wherever they go. The show holds true for our natural belief about zombies, and the special effects on them are amazing. I cringed numerous times. To really do this justice, here's a clip of a very iconic walker named Hannah. The cinematography is excellent. The producers went the extra mile to keep the level of suspense very high during each episode. And they really have the viewer right where they want us. I'm usually quick to point out holes in the plot of whatever I'm reviewing. But as for The Walking Dead, so far, so good. We'll see if this continues as the show progresses. The Walking Dead has all the elements I love in a show. High tension, monsters, and an amazing level of drama. Man versus man, man versus monster, man versus nature, and the need for human companionship. I was hooked from the very first scene, and I was continually wanting more after each episode. I connected with each of the characters instantly, and can't wait to see how the storyline progresses. I'm looking forward to watching Season 2, and I heard they're going to film a Season 3. With as much action as there is in each episode, I'm curious to see if they can hold the plot for an entire 3 seasons. My hopes are high for this show, and I strongly recommend watching Season 1 of The Walking Dead. That's all for my show. I'm Jesse Sweet, and I'll see you next time on The Dark Side of Television.
We've had quite a few requests for that review, Jesse. Well done. Coming to you now, the director of Absolute Horror, Chris Riley, with his thoughts on horror and science fiction.
Hi, I'm Chris Riley, the director of Absolute Horror. You might be asking yourself, well, if he's the director, who's directing the show right now? The answer is simple. No one. No one is directing the show right now. I just hit the lights, turned on the camera, walked on over, and sat right down. It's just that easy. I'll just edit it all out later. It's amazing what you can do with computers nowadays, and that's why I love sci-fi. Tonight's movie is a real doozy. Is it a horror film? Is it a sci-fi flick? That's coming next on Absolute Sci-Fi. The 1997 film Event Horizon is considered a horror sci-fi. Science fiction, not only because it takes place in a futuristic setting, complete with a spaceship, but also because it deals with interdimensional travel, stasis, and several other elements commonplace in our favorite sci-fi features. Let's take a look at some of the stunning visuals from Event Horizon.
Let me see if I can get some power up.
That's the core of gravity drive.
This movie came out in 1997, and you can tell they really pulled out all the stops to make an environment suitable for our film. But what about the other key ingredients to a successful sci-fi movie, or even a television show? We normally expect to find a little more drama in the genre, interplanetary politics, a look into the personal lives of our characters, and more often than not, personal and even romantic relationships. We won't be finding any of that in this movie. To be fair, this is a horror movie at its core. We don't have time to develop any of the plot devices that would be needed to let us get to know our characters. We jump straight into the action. The ship has been somewhere bad, and it's brought back something scary with it. Let's take a look at the horror side of Event Horizon.
Let me show you.
So, all in all, was this a horror sci-fi? Yes and no. I believe that horror fans will love this movie, but the sci-fi crowd will walk away feeling a little empty-handed. Overall, I enjoyed the movie and would recommend you watch it, as the acting and the cinematography are top-notch. And the horror aspect is definitely well done. But if you're looking for a little more sci-fi with some horror-themed storyline, you'll have to tune in next month when we have a look at a Lovecraftian-influenced sci-fi television show, and this is one you won't want to miss. We'll see you next time at Absolute Sci-Fi.
This month, we are presenting Part 1 of Apocalypse 101, Beginnings and End. What's apocalyptic? Well, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. With so much to sift through, and being a bit of a purist, we've limited offerings to movies that provide three basics. A qualifying event resulting in global societal deconstruction. This must be global. We will treat micro-apocalypses in the next show. B, sufficient storyline to both define the new world and detail personal survival, and hopefully development of a new societal norm. And C, projection of the future. Either resolution, survival of humanism in an inhumane world, or disillusion. We are all well and thoroughly screwed. And on the third hand, and much more typically, room for a sequel. Trimming things down with a wide, sharp blade, greats we have discounted are literature, anime, and TV. To science fiction, here's where we start hurting feelings. Not making the cut are Terminator and The Matrix, Planet of the Apes, Waterworld, ice caps melting, that's not an event, it's an historical age. Now for your homework, the movies to see this month are Last Man on Earth, 1964 with Vincent Price. Global plague has left any survivors fighting night-walking, blood-sucking living dead. Next, The Postman, 1997. In 2013, a war has decimated the government and population of the United States. And now, number one, with lots of bullets, The Omega Man starring Charlton Heston. You may be bored with this, but Heston is the man, edging out his senior, Vincent Price, and having a serious edge over Will Smith. You better get used to it. He is the ultimate kick-ass solo survivor. Loved his condominium, plenty of pointers in this one. And I can't go on without praising Stakeland again. Best recent apocalyptic contribution.
This month, I'm presenting 3 movies that are currently in theaters. Doors creak, birds shriek, and children are lured to terrible fates in The Woman in Black. A good old-fashioned ghost story of the Victorian Gothic persuasion. A handprint on a window and the rapid rocking of an unoccupied chair deliver true jolts and chills, visions of the in-between world that the story and its ghostly character occupy. Arthur Kipps, a lawyer, is recently widowed and grieving the loss of his wife when he is sent to a remote village to put a deceased woman's affairs in order. Soon after his arrival, it becomes clear that the villagers are hiding a terrible secret. Kipps discovers that his late client's house is haunted by a spirit of a woman who is trying to find someone and something that she has lost, and that no one, not even the children, are safe from her wrath. Also, Underworld Awakening. In the years since she and her husband, Lycan lover Michael, defeated Elder Marcus, vampire slayer Selene has been taken captive by humans while they wage an all-out war against both Lycans and vampires. Awakening after more than a decade, Selene discovers that Michael is dead, but that she has given birth to his daughter Eve. Shunned by nearly all surviving vampires, save one, even Selene seems powerless against her latest opponent, a genetically altered Lycan. And lastly, Silent House is a uniquely unsettling horror thriller starring Elizabeth Olsen as Sarah, a young woman who finds herself sealed into her family's secluded lake house while no contact to the outside world and no way out. Panic turns to terror as events become increasingly horrific in and around the house. One house you won't catch me in after dark, or even during the day. Consider catching these at your local theater. Now back to Absolute Horror.
And that's our show. Thanks for watching. More horror to be revealed on our website, so stop on by. We will see you next time at Absolute Horror. Good night.